everybody, Art Ekman, along with David Bailey from Paris with round 3 of the World Supercross Series. It is quite a show here at the Bercy in Paris, the second of 3 consecutive nights. It's not just an exciting evening of Supercross. It is a colorful display of sound as well as sight. The voltage not only sparking the fans here in Paris, but David, it's a real thrill for the riders as well.
This place is second to none for entertainment, not only for the fans, but for the riders. Look at Jeremy driving in a Cadillac with all the girls in the back. They got lasers. They got it all here.
The race format here in Paris, all the riders participating in 2 heats with the top 3 going on to the main event. Then 2 semis and the last chance qualifier. It's a 20-lap main event as we get set for our first heat of the evening.
There's so much talent in all these heat races. You can guarantee a lot of good guys are going to have to go to the semis. It's just process of elimination. Only 3 guys get to go.
There you see number 13, a French favorite, Frédéric Vialli. Next to him, Jimmy Button, number 36. Number 3, Tortelli, another Frenchman. Very good. The champion of France, Larry Ward, John Dowd, Ezra Lusk, James Dobb, just a few names. As we get underway, Larry Ward, the whole shot.
First turn starting to get slippery, and because these corners are so wide, look at that. John Dowd coming in there had a chance to maybe in there and run over Larry Ward's foot, but he elected to just turn inside of him.
The second night of competition here at Bercy, and after the first night of wicked competition and crashes here in the woods, they rounded them off a little bit, David.
Yeah, but you can see right there, they've gone through there with a steamroller, so in the early laps, they're still pretty tough, but they do get worn down as the race continues.
Ward, John Dowd, number 14. Tortelli, the Frenchman, number 3.
You see how they've used that steamroller all over the racetrack, and especially in the first heat, the track's almost like riding on cement. You see the fresh tire tracks when they come by. So after about 3 or 4 laps, everybody starts to figure out where to go, where the traction is, and where the best lines are.
The young Europeans really have good technique. Like Tortelli, you watch him.
Well, he studies the American riders. He wants to come over here and race the United States and get a feel for what we do, our techniques. Then he takes that back to France, and it obviously works.
Tiffany hopping through the whoops. Larry Ward, our leader. Number 21, Dugmore, really having some problems right there.
Just as Larry Ward went by, also Tortelli, they both come over that first double out of the first corner, and they triple the next one. Dowd didn't do it. He's got a lot of pressure right now from the Frenchman. Tortelli,
only 19 years old, had us a lot of racing in front of him as he chases down the older member of the Supercross scene, John Dowd.
Tough to pass through there. It's so narrow, and you're going so fast. All the guy's got to do is move over a little bit. Look at Dowd. He triples all the way into the corner. That's why I think he was waiting. He has a little different rhythm through there, and it pays off for him in the end.
Our first qualifying heat of the second evening here in Paris. This is actually round 3 of our World Supercross Series. Tortelli trying to make the move in the woods.
Right behind these guys, Button's starting to make up a little bit of time. Button's been riding good here.
Absolutely. He took a 3rd place in his qualifying heat last night and then ended up placing 9th overall in the finale.
Right now, sitting 4th, you can see him just coming into the picture. He is starting to make ground on these guys. He's got to if he wants to go straight to the main.
John Dowd has not been happy with the horsepower of his machine. His engine has a tweak in it, and they just can't find what's wrong.
Well, it's tough. When you travel around the world, you're trying to get everything to run right, and you encounter those problems. Look at Jeremy McGrath last night. He doesn't have his bike dialed in. Here's a guy that won almost every single race last year in the U.S. He swept here last year. He ended up 10th.
That's not the case for number 6. Last night's winner here at Bercy in Paris, Larry Ward, lengthening the lead here in the opening qualifying round.
But really putting the pressure on these guys now. If Tortelli does anything to get around Dowd and opens it up, Button's going to sneak right in there and take it.
Jimmy Button, as we mentioned in the last telecast from Paris, a last-second substitution as Bradshaw was injured in Fukuoka and could not make an appearance here in Paris. It was Wednesday that Jimmy Button got the call to come to Paris on Thursday.
Button tripled all the way into that corner, showing a wheel, keeping the pressure on these guys. See if he can make a move in the whoops.
Sebastian Tortelli in 2nd place with Button in 3rd. Remember, only the top 3 qualify out of the qualifying heats here in Paris. Damon Huffman, you see him lodged in 5th. We'll be back.
The suspect seems there. You see the weapon. Suspect.
A dangerous suspect tries to escape.
Out of the World Supercross Series. A new development while we were away here in the qualifying heat. Jimmy Button and Damon Huffman battling it out for the final transfer spot to the main event. Only 3 riders go out of each qualifying heat to the main event before going on to the semis, those that don't make it.
Look at these guys tripling this. Every lap, they're getting it dialed in. You get more and more comfortable with the racetrack each night, but your body also takes more wear and tear, and you start getting sore towards the end.
That development while we were away, you didn't get a chance to see John Dowd fade from the competitive scene.
Now, we talked about his bike not running up to par, and that's all it takes. Just one little thing to be wrong, and then you start approaching things with a little bit more of a question mark in your head. Is this thing going to have enough power to get over this triple? What about through the whoops? Is it going to have that snap that I need? And then you approach it a little more tentative, and your arms pump up. Who knows what goes wrong? But definitely he's having problems right now. He's nowhere with the pace of those guys.
Huffman's front end waving in the air. Huffman with a 4th place in the main event last night. Here's the checkered flag for Larry Ward. Jimmy Button, a very fine qualifying round. And here's how they qualify: Ward, Tortelli, and Button going to the main event. In heat number 2, number 1, Jeremy McGrath trying to get back on track. Number 8, Greg Albertine, who was leading last night's race until it crashed in the very last lap. Jeff Emig is also in this round, along with Mike Craig. Ryan Hughes, Mikel Pichon, the local favorite. Phil Lawrence, the privateer, who's now with Chaparral, and Brian Swink. Some real good competition here in our second qualifying heat. And of course, only 3 riders will transfer. Number 15 on the inside, and number 1, Jeremy McGrath, gets the whole shot out of the first turn.
Now this is starting to look right. I'd hate to be in this heat. Look at all this talent. It looked like Albertine got shoved to the back of the pack, but he came out pretty good through the first corner.
He's in 4th place right now. Out in front, Jeremy McGrath, with number 2, Jeff Emig, right behind him, as you see, makes the move to the inside. Then we've got Craig. Albertine actually now in 5th.
Seems like Emig had a little bit more momentum coming through the whoop section. Maybe had an inside line on McGrath. Not enough, though. See what happens. McGrath already looks like he's starting to open it up a little bit. Maybe he's got things dialed in a little bit better tonight.
Jeremy McGrath leading this heat race. He did not participate in round 1 in Japan. Came back with a 10th place finish in round 2 last night here in Paris. Albertine cases it a bit now as they go over the finish line jump. Let's take a run around the course now, David.
Well, this is the big sweeper before the long whoop section. Some of the guys are trying to protect that inside line, which is a good idea. However, if you don't get the run at the whoops,
you come back with a series of tabletops before going into the tunnel. Yes.
Yeah, you go over that first double, and then you can either elect to go a little slower there and then triple the next 3, or double, and then you can go into the corner that way. A lap before, Albertine tried to triple it. That's where he came up a little short.
Going through the tunnel, you notice the speed bumps, the breakers. Boy, your bike can really rebound if it's not set up properly there. Kick you right in the rear end.
Well, it's so fast all through the tunnel, then they throw those little kicker bumps just kind of all offset everywhere, so there's not really any good line. You keep hitting them when you don't want to.
Good combination of jumps in the final turn into the finish line jump. We're in the second qualifying heat. Jeremy McGrath has taken a dominating lead now with Emig, Craig, and on the bubble is Albertine.
Looks like Albertine tried a little stuff on Craig, and it worked. He took the inside before the whoop section. I thought he was going to lose his momentum because Craig had gone wide, got a better run, but he still maintained that same gap and had enough run at him to make that block pass. You can see as he came out of that corner, he still got Jeremy in his sights.
Into the whoop section. Can Emig catch up, or does he want to catch up really in this qualifying round?
Well, he may not want to show him where he can pass. There's very few places out here to pass, especially when you got 2 guys of that caliber. And he'll just save that for the main event.
Especially with only 16 riders at the starting gate. Doesn't matter how you get to the starting gate, really, because everybody has about the same advantage.
Well, last night is a perfect example. Ryan Hughes came out of the last chance qualifier and got the whole shot. So it doesn't matter where you line up because there's not that many riders. The gate's pretty even from the inside to the outside in terms of distance to the first corner.
Both Emig and Albertine tripling right there, making things interesting for the fans here at Bercy.
Craig's not giving up. He's still right in there. I think Albertine's got a little bit better pace. Remember, he led last night all the way to the last lap.
Craig has been very competitive on this World Supercross Series as he gets into shape for his Honda of Troy ride for 97 in the States. McGrath ending at Albertine right now, looking for the main event. A second qualifying heat here in Paris on the second consecutive night of racing here at the Bercy. McGrath, our leader, Emig in second, Albertine in third, and here is the battle behind it. We have Michael Craig on the bubble in fourth. If he doesn't pick it up, he won't qualify. He'll have to go to the semifinal round as Hughes and Mikel Pichon, the French favorite, battling it out in fifth and sixth.
Here's the replay. Ryan Hughes wide open, strength, determination. I wish we could freeze frame it right there and show you the expression on his face. I guarantee it's scary. He is one motivated guy. He doesn't want to go to the last chance tonight. Does a nice job getting around that corner, getting his foot out of the way, and leaving a little room for Pichon to get through there.
Craig's got to be disappointed. Last night, I got on the last train in Metro, and Michael Craig didn't even wait before leaving the arena. He went in his uniform, in his helmet, got on the train, on the same train I was on to go back to the hotel, and he was so displeased with his performance. And I'm sure he's hoping for a better performance here this evening. Jeremy McGrath, our leader, here in the second qualifying heat. And he's pulled a pretty good lead. Now he's pretty well just cruising toward the finish line.
Well, even when Jeremy cruises, he's still going pretty fast. He's working his way through the lappers, no problem. And can you imagine what this track was like when they didn't go through the tunnel? I can tell you it was tight, really tight. You're seeing lappers.
I'll bet it was a lot of banging, I'll bet.
Yeah, you're seeing lappers the whole time. Jeremy showing the crowd his drain plug. Look at that.
Jeremy McGrath taking our second qualifying heat. Monsieur Bouchard.
Alors, Jeremy, c'est bon d'être là? It's good to be here again?
Yeah, last night wasn't so good, so I got to make up for it tonight, and that's a good way to start out. I just need a little bit better start in the main event, and I don't think Larry will be easy to get around.
Jeremy McGrath back up to speed. That's actually his second heat win here in Paris, as he won the heat the first night but had all kinds of problems in the main event. We're going to the first semifinal round now, which features Damon Huffman, Ryan Hughes, a couple of Kawasaki teammates, Ezra Lusk, who didn't make it to the main event out of the first heat race, Phil Lawrence, Frenchman Vialli, Frederic Vialli.
Sure looked like Damon Huffman had that to me, but he still drifted a little bit too wide. That first corner is brutal. If you don't go in there and hug it all the way to the inside, you're going to get past.
Colin Dugmore, number 21 on a Honda. He's out of Denmark.
Lusk about mid-pack right now. Look at Huffman through the whoops. This is his strong point. He goes right around.
Huffman blitzing into the lead. Lusk having all kinds of problems there on the rebound coming off the whoops. Lusk is number 11 on his new Yamaha. Ripping through the tunnel. Huffman in the lead. He's got the lad from Denmark right behind him. Terry Bethese, number 25, a Frenchman there, and Ryan Hughes behind him. Lusk and Lawrence have some catching up to do if they hope to qualify and avoid the last chance qualifier.
Look at all that air time those guys are getting going into the corner. Frederic Vialli going for the triple. I don't know if it's any faster, really. It just depends on the rhythm you have through there and if somebody's in your way or not. This sure looks spectacular right there. Huffman tripling. You see Ryan Hughes tripling before they go into the tunnel.
Vialli choosing not to triple.
What you can't see is the face of these jumps. They're starting to get rutted out a little bit, and that makes it tough. If you don't pick the right rut, you can't jump those triples unless you take a big chance.
Vialli's really considered an old veteran here in Europe. He's 23 years old, won the championship of France back in '93. He was third in the world 125s last year, and as well as third in the 250s in France in 1996. Number 13.
Ryan moving up a notch. Look at him through the whoops. So strong through there. He's got the inside. He's going to take it. That was a nice block pass. He could have made it a lot worse.
So Huffman in first, Hughes in second. Those two went to the last chance qualifier last night. Dugmore is pushed back to third as we check out number 9, Ryan Hughes. What a competitive spirit. Took second place in the main event last night.
bet he could have never guessed that, sitting in the pits after just coming out of the last chance qualifier along with his teammates, probably just hoping to finish in the top 10. As it turned out, he was on the podium regardless, and then Albertine went off the track and gave him even a better finish. So,
just looking at the rhythm and the speed, I think Lusk has got a darn good chance of catching a qualifying position right here.
it's been a popular place to pass. Same exact thing Ryan Hughes just did. Just position yourself to the inside of the guy and hopefully get a little better run at him through the whoops.
Good block pass on Bethese, and Lusk moves up a spot.
Have a look at the tail end of this pass. He's already pretty much got it done. He's got more momentum, and Bethese has nowhere to go.
So it's Huffman, Hughes, and Lusk now, the top three, as 4 riders will advance to the main event out of the semifinal rounds. Number 25, Bethese, cutting through those whoops, fishtailing a little bit, trying to stay up there. Looks like Frederick Viale and Phil Lawrence, well, they'll definitely have to step it up. Oh, Doug Moore goes down. And there's Viale running right into his leg.
Pretty dangerous spot right there. It's just as they go into the tunnel, there went Phil Lawrence.
There you see Doug Moore down on the ground, but no place to go for Viale. Sneaking by is Machado.
That could have been a lot worse, I think, for Doug Moore. Fortunately, he ran right into the back of his knees, and all he did was bend. If he'd have been sitting the other way, he could have hyperextended those.
Final turn for Damon Huffman here in the semifinal round, and it's Damon Huffman and Ryan Hughes, 1 and 2. They are on their way to tonight's main event. Ezra Lusk also getting there, but these just nudged out of that qualifying spot. He'll have to go to the last chance qualifier. It'll be local favorite Mikel Pichon in the second semifinal round. We'll be back. The gunning for the hole shot. Dobb is on the inside. Dowd's on the inside. Look at that. Altonen, Miska Altonen goes sliding out in the first turn.
Well, number 23 just cut across. He thought he was just going to get a little better position. He couldn't quite go all the way to the inside. Everyone kind of moved around a little bit. I think that threw him off. Altonen went down. The first corner is slick.
David Altonen was the one that you're mentioning right there. As number 26 out in front is Cyril Port, the Frenchman. Port we saw last night in the jump off, and it's number 15 Michael Craig moving into the lead now. Craig, Honda of Troy, trying to go to that main event and avoid a last chance qualifier. He's got a good hot machine. John Dowd gunning for second place, and Mikel Pichon makes his presence known, passing Dowd.
That's a perfect example of what happens when you got a guy, you're in the middle. You can't figure out what to do. You got to make a pass. You got to change your line. If you make a mistake and it doesn't work, somebody sneaks under you. That's just what Pichon did.
Mikel Pichon trying to chase down Michael Craig here in the second semifinal round. Pichon is so loved here in France, of course, because of his successes before coming over to the United States to race. One reporter I was next to in the pits was asking Pichon about his girlfriend Stephanie, and he says, "You got any special plans in the future?" He says, "Heck, I'm only 20 years old."
Plenty of time.
Special plans in racing. That's a good relationship between the two, Mikel and Stephanie, though. She really helped him adjust to the United States. She speaks English really better than Mikel did.
He learned it awful fast. I remember coming over here, first time I met him, they had an anniversary of the 10th running of this race. They sent over myself, O'Mara, Johnson, Brock, and it was the first time I met Pichon, and we had to have translators to get our conversation going. And the next time I saw him in the U.S., he spoke perfect English.
Who can forget in 1993 when he won a 125 race in San Diego? Pichon leaping over Michael Craig.
Little mistake by Craig there, and Pichon went for the triple. Fortunately, he wasn't following. He was able to carry out his mission and jumped right over his head, made the move.
Mikel on the Suzuki for the first time in competition here in Paris. We mentioned the win in 1993 in San Diego. That was his only moto win here in Paris. Oddly enough, he has not raced very well here. He won a 125 moto here in Paris that same year.
It's always a lot of expectation. You put a little bit more pressure on yourself to do well in front of your hometown crowd. And sometimes you just get a little over anxious. I remember that time I saw him when I first met him. He was riding the 125 class. He was the fastest guy on the track. He spent a lot of time on the ground.
Michonne, of course, I asked him about, you know, getting tickets for family and friends and all the obligations you have when you come home. And he says, well, that's not too bad. He says, most of the pressure is off of me now since Sebastian Tortelli has most of the friends. Right now, we're looking at John Dowd in 3rd place. Brian Swink, number 27, in 4th place. They are scheduled to transfer to the main event should no catastrophes happen in front of them or to them. Mikel Bichon, right now your leader. Michael Craig hasn't given up on that yet.
He's keeping the pressure on him, and as you saw Bichon enter the tunnel, he went out and clipped one of those hay bales and tore the plastic off of it. So sometimes you got to get right out on the edge to find a smooth line, and that could have grabbed his foot peg and caused some problems.
You mentioned in last night's telecast in the first round here at Paris that there's only 16 starting spots, and there's a lot of talent that doesn't make it to the main event. So that places a real focus on this semifinal round. Michael Craig, though, showing good speed, trying to hold on to the leader, Mikel Bichon.
Well, the crowd desperately wants to see a battle, but I think they want to see Bichon win that battle. Right now,
this got to put a smile on Roger DeCoster's face, too, seeing for the first time Bichon on a Suzuki.
I'm sure Roger's going to be happy. Look at the crowd. You know they're happy. Not far to go, and he'll win this semi.
Bichon, of course, scheduled for all 3 races here in Paris as he takes the checkered flag. Michael Craig second, but he will not be going to Tokyo. Still really recovering from that virus, the Epstein-Barr syndrome, which requires a special diet and rest. Bichon, Craig, and Dowd, and Swink to the main event. One of the more popular events in Paris and in all of Europe, actually, is the jump contest. As we take a look at some of the most remarkable acrobatics on the machine that you'll find anywhere. And of course, the first night kind of stunned me with some of the great moves that were made by these riders. This is Cyril Port, the Frenchman, number 26. Here's Port doing a fine knack-knack for the 2nd night in a row. Hasn't changed his routine much, but look at the movement of the bike on that knack-knack. Not just swinging the leg over.
A little better than the last one he did. He really got the bike out there sideways, was able to get his foot back over and complete that no problem.
But these trying to excite the crowd. Mike Metzger was the only American really scheduled in the jump contest, but he broke his leg in the first night of competition trying to qualify for the main event. Oh, spread eagle this time. Ouch.
I think they've been calling this a nothing. I guess you can see why. He's not holding on to anything. He got a little, the bike almost got away from him right there. He did a good job of pulling it back. I never try to do that on purpose.
Did you ever do it not on purpose?
Uh-huh. And the outcome wasn't good. This is amazing. Can you imagine that? What if your foot can't get back across through there? You're in big trouble when you land. These guys are taking huge chances, and the crowd really inspires that.
The one-footed fender kick. And we go to last night's winner of the jump contest, Edgar Torrenteras from Spain. He captivated the crowd with several great jumps. He does a heel clicker on the short jumps there. Only 16 years old. He was 9th in the 125 Supercross European standings back in 1995, 20th in the World Supercross last year. But this is his specialty, believe me.
Check that out in slow motion. Both feet off to the side. Last night he took a handoff too, but this time he's got both feet so far out there.
I think he figures he's got it snapped, the competition. Why take a chance?
Well, if he doesn't win that, he's probably going to win a dance contest somewhere.
And of course, it's the audience, the fans, that vote with their applause. And what a showman, Torrenteras. 125 highlights and 250 main coming up. 5 highlights before getting to our 250 main event. These are the young and upcoming stars of Supercross in Europe, and a couple of Americans to keep your eye on as well. David Pingree and Craig Decker. They'll be number 1 for Pingree, number 10 for Decker. Very competitive, and it was interesting last night to see Craig Decker's performance, because coming off a broken back injury where he still has a rod and spine, he performed beautifully. Taking a hole shot, though, is Torrenteras, number 8.
You see how much power David Pingree had. He got a horrible jump coming off the gate. He still came out in 3rd, already into the lead.
David Pingree has won more 125 motos in Paris than any other rider coming into this action. Pingree and Decker with Roncada, the top three in the race, when all kinds of action happened in the corner. It was Roncada along with Decker hitting the deck. That opened up the field as Decker then tried an inspired effort to come back into the action. Pingree out in front, though. It would be David Villemin on a Yamaha, the Frenchman who will be racing the entire 125 season in the United States for Chaparral next year. Decker's performance was truly inspirational in this race. Going down, he was about 10th place and battled all the way back for a podium spot in third. Look at the way he takes the whoops.
So much harder on a 125 than a 250 to keep that power. You got to use the clutch all the way through there and keep feeding that power because you're kind of in between second and third gear.
The winner of the first moto, David Pingree, and at that time took over the overall points lead for the 125s in Paris. Now, these 125 riders don't make any money here. The Americans have some appearance money, but this is truly a support class, David.
Now they get their expenses paid, and they get an opportunity to ride in Europe, see France a little bit, pretty much just see the hotel and the track. But it's a great experience to get out there and ride with other riders.
And crash with other riders as well, as we see the highlights from our second moto. Guidetti, Decker, and Villemin in that order. Stefan Roncada, number 3. He'll be racing in America in the next season with Honda of Troy.
Amazing, all those top 3 guys jumping that triple on 125.
Number 2, Villemin having trouble there in the whoops, but Decker just breezes into first place to take over the lead. Craig Decker, quite an accomplishment, will end up winning this second moto. Roncada, who's only 17 years old, got a lot of potential, number 3. He was second in France in the 125 Supercross last year, 8th in the world. Generally thought of as being behind one step David Villemin from France. And speaking of the champion French 125 Supercross rider in 1996, Villemin will make the move into second place behind Decker. Number 2 on the Yamaha.
A lot of body English to get that bike over the double, get the power back to the ground and out horsepower. Daddy, as they started into the tunnel, once you get in there, it's really tough to pass.
While we're looking at highlights of the 125s, seeing these future stars kind of takes you back to Jeremy McGrath won 2 motos as a 125 future superstar here in Paris.
I can't think of much that Jeremy McGrath hasn't won, Art. He's had success everywhere in the world.
But what a win for Craig Decker here in the second moto.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about the amazing comeback of Doug Henry. Here's another example. Craig Decker breaking his neck. Between the 3rd and 7th vertebrae, there's rods, and an amazing comeback. The doctor's permission to go back out there. Imagine the first time you fall there, how scared you might be. But
3 pretty good riders not making it to the main event. We will have the main in a moment.
Why does this have to be so hard? Find it tough to work in tight spaces? Introducing Snake Driver, the tool that snakes its way into any hard-to-reach area. It works in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in the kitchen, in the living room, and all over your house. It works outdoors, in the car, in the boat, and it gives you right-handed power for a left-handed approach. Use Snake Driver like a conventional screwdriver or a socket set. This tool does it all. You can power it up with your cordless screwdriver or use its Posigrip handle for a non-slip anti-fatigue grip. Snake Driver's unique patented technology is so flexible you can twist it 360 degrees to get into the tightest spots. It's so strong and durable you can run it over and it still works. Backed by a lifetime warranty, Snake Driver is an amazing value. It can do all the work these tools can do, yet it costs hundreds less. Plus, it does things no other tool can do. Snake Driver costs just
$29.95.
It's the ultimate toolkit. To order Snake Driver today, call the number on the screen or send a check or money order to the address shown. You get the Snake Driver with its Posa Grip handle, 8 different screwdriver bits, 9 sockets, 1 magnetic head to retrieve screws, nuts, and bolts in hard-to-reach areas. All this and a sturdy carrying case. And you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Snake Driver is made by DuraPro, setting a new standard in innovation and quality. So go beyond your reach with Snake Driver, a truly great gift idea. Don't miss this limited opportunity. Order yours today.
Welcome back here on ESPN2. Art Ekman and David Bailey, Jeremy McGrath getting ready. Look, it looks like Skip Norfolk found his passport.
He's back. Jeremy going through his pre-race ritual. How he always shakes his arm out, claps, shakes his head, and readies himself for the start. You see, everybody does it. When people are on the foul line, they bounce the ball 3 or 4 times. They have their little routine and make sure they're ready or not. Jeremy always goes through that. Once again, starting right next to number 2, Jeff Emig.
Mikel Pachone's new mechanic, Tony Berluti, rubbing down his forearms. Obviously, he has not done a lot of racing, resting because of the virus that he had last year. So he might be suffering with a little arm pump.
I think there's a lot of guys suffering for that. It's cold here, and you sit around in the pits for a long time, and all of a sudden you got to go out there and go 110% on a tight track. Everybody is so competitive here.
Just about set now for our main event. Second consecutive night of racing here at the Bercy. I just hope she can get out of the way in time. They're off. Michael Craig, a great start. Number 15, number 2, Jeff Emig cutting inside with Jeremy McGrath. But it is Craig taking the early lead. The Honda Troy rider looks over his shoulder. He's got Jeremy McGrath right on his bumper. Number 4, Damon Huffman.
This is usually where McGrath makes quick work of the field, gets right into the lead, disappears, see if he can do it. Craig is not easy to pass.
Craig really hit the spotlight when he was able to interrupt the Supercross. Oh, big wreck. Mikel Pachone going over the hay bale. That's Esmerlusk, number 11. Number 14, John Dowd. Out in front, it's Michael Craig with Jeremy McGrath, number 1, and Damon Huffman in good position in the 3rd spot.
Huffman's been getting terrible starts, having to come from so far behind. It's hard to really tell how fast he is.
Tortelli, Ward, and then Jeff Emig in that order behind him.
Haven't seen Huffman and McGrath together that I can think of since Seattle when they had such a great battle in the Supercross series in the U.S. See if they can hang with him. Whoops is where he's strong.
What I was trying to get out was who can forget Tampa as Jeremy McGrath makes a move on the inside to Michael Craig but can't quite take him. That's when Craig really hit the spotlight when he broke up the string of Supercross victories at that time in Tampa.
Been unable to really reach that form since, but he's had flashes of that kind of speed. Right now, great opportunity with the hole shot, a tight track, but he's got the number 1 rider in the world right on his tail.
That was 1994 that Michael Craig got that terrific win at Tampa. Craig, McGrath, Huffman, our top 3, and we'll be back in a moment. Our main event, it is round 3 of the World Supercross Series. Michael Craig out in front on lap 3, but Jeremy McGrath is right there. Coming into the whoops, Jeremy McGrath makes the inside pass. Damon Huffman in 3rd, Tortelli the Frenchman in 4th, and Larry Ward, last night's winner here in Paris, is next.
Larry Ward is strong in the beginning. Look for him to move up. That was pretty interesting by McGrath. Looked kind of like a last-minute decision for him to switch over to the inside before the whoops, and worked out perfect. Craig just took a little too long to get around that outside berm and just had to move out of the way because Jeremy was already in the best line.
First place is worth $15,000 to these riders. Jeremy McGrath sweeping the 3 nights in Paris last year. He's gunning for his 7th moto victory in Paris tonight.
Seems like no matter what Jeremy ends up finishing, somewhere during the race, he's always either in the lead or right in the battle where he has a chance to win. Must be a great feeling, because there's races I can remember where I was a distant 4th the whole time. And talk about being mad at yourself. I did everything except get on the subway with my gear on.
Oh, wish I could have seen that. Back in your days, though, you got appearance money to go over there. Now, these riders, all except for one rider, are getting all their expenses paid, but what they make is on that racetrack. With the exception of Jeremy McGrath, the champion in the last 2 years of the World Supercross Series. He's getting $100,000 for 3 nights' work.
Well, I guess 10th place in the main wouldn't be such a bad thing if that's the case.
And it looks like the whoops are kind of roughing up a bit.
Well, everyone's favoring the middle, if you notice, and what happens is you get like a little trench through there, and then you have to keep your balance and ride that perfect line. If you get a little off line, you start dancing around side to side. So some guys even like to go off to the side where they don't have to worry about trying to pick that rut and negotiate the whoops.
Damon Huffman getting very aggressive for second place, where Michael Craig now sits.
Emick getting up into the picture there. He's not gotten the best starts. He's known for the hole shots that he gets. Not doing it here in Paris, but he's still in the thick of it. He can see the leaders.
Out of the first lap, he was in 6th spot. Number 15, Craig, in second. Then it's Huffman, Tortelli, Emmy, and Ward.
Larry Ward jumping into that whoop section about 5 bumps in, landing nice and smooth, using those long legs to his advantage. Same with Huffman. They got a lot of room between their seat and their butt, so they can get away with a little bit more, taking a rougher line and get to the whoop section good. Guys that are shorter, they get their feet bounced off the pegs a little bit more, and you got to grip the tank. McGrath a little bit shorter than all these other guys. You got to rely on a little bit more finesse and muscle to get through there fast.
Yeah, whatever happened to that comment when McGrath was in 125 saying, hey, he's too short to be a champion at 250?
Well, I don't know. I think that guy's probably choking on his words now. Look at Jeff Ward. We may see the same thing for Ricky Carmichael eventually. That kid doesn't seem to be growing at all, but he sure is fast. Mike.
Whoops now. Different directions for different riders. Tortelli goes to the outside of the whoops.
Mike Craig got a little off balance there, wandered off to the right, but he's still able to maintain his momentum.
Damon Huffman on the chase from Michael Craig as Tortelli is behind him, and then Emmy.
This is the most green I've seen up front in a long time.
You might add, too, it's the Kawasaki factory bikes that have been shipped on every race of this series. For the first time it's happened in the series history that a factory would ship their bikes around. Usually they just bring accessories, motors, forks, that type of thing, and really build a bike, leased from a local dealer, whichever city they go to. Michael Craig having problems on the inside. Damon Huffman moves into second place.
This is the part of the race usually where Mike Craig has been known to make a mistake or two and let a few guys by. Look at all the pressure he has. Huffman just was patient, waited for the right place to make his move. The strongest place in the racetrack for him, I think, would have to be in the whoop section, and there comes Craig with 3 more guys waiting in line. Any mistake he makes, they're all going to get by.
Damon Huffman starting this World Supercross Series very strong in Japan with a 3rd place finish. Had a 4th place finish last night. It's good to see him coming back after a real tough injury last year, ACL.
Damon's pretty methodical in his approach. He doesn't really go out there and expect to win all the races. He's got goals that are pretty realistic. He just goes, okay, I want to get a 5th, then I want to get a 3rd, then I want to dice for the lead, then I want to win. And when you take it like that, you're that young and you can afford to take that much time. It works.
McGrath is still our leader. Look out for Huffman, though.
It's like it all came to me in a dream.
3 from Paris, France. Art Ekman and David Bailey. Our leader, Jeremy McGrath. Damon Huffman, number 4, in 2nd place. And Huffman slides out there. Look out. Let's see who comes out. It's Michael Craig, number 15, then Huffman. And Tortelli, the Frenchman, number 3.
That really paid off for Craig to stay in this battle and not give up. Now he's back into 2nd place. There's so many guys behind him battling for position, and maybe they can leave him alone for a little while, and he can focus on McGrath out there.
On this very tight track, most anything can happen, especially as these whoops get. Whoa, look out. Michael Craig inside. Huffman makes the basket. Here comes Emmy. He gets by Tortelli.
That is an exciting section for passing. Another look at it. Watch Craig. There you see that side-to-side action. He got kind of messed up in the rut, lost his balance. Kept it on 2 wheels, but a double pass. Huffman gets by Craig, and Emick takes advantage of Tortelli, not knowing which way to go.
And Larry Ward gets a little rub in there on Michael Craig.
That's what it takes. You got to muscle your way through. This race is winding down. Larry Ward believes he can win. He's got to make the pass on these guys if he has any shot at McGrath.
So far now, Huffman, his aim, of course, is to catch up with Jeremy McGrath.
Quite a ways to go. McGrath established a pretty nice lead, but the problem is he's been out there riding a nice pace. All of a sudden now they're really coming strong.
Look out, Mikkel. Whoops. Kind of disappeared.
Yeah, well, it gives you a good idea how deep those whoops are. As soon as you stop in there, you can see you can hide a medium-sized Frenchman at the bottom of one of those.
Jeremy McGrath, our leader. Emig doing a great job of coming up through the pack along with Ward.
Well, this whole pack battle that they've had in second place, charging. Emig pushing the pace. Larry Ward behind him pushing even harder. Now they're starting to close up a little bit to McGrath, who's been out there running the same pace. Now he's going to have to adjust that, and it's not easy to do.
Emig now moves into third. Ward fourth. There goes Tortelli in the whoop section. There's some disappointed French fans right now.
The race can completely turn around on you in a split second. Just ask Greg Albertine. Last night led all the way to the end. A routine jump, found himself off the track, went from first to 8th.
Tortelli, the 125 motocross champion in the world in 1996. Ouch.
It's like a rodeo. You're jumping off the bull. Lucky he got away from the bike. Not going to get hurt from that, but he's certainly that's going to ruin his positions for the night.
Damon Huffman here in the main event, starting to close the gap now between him and Jeremy McGrath, the leader, as they go into the whoop section. Huffman with great speed into those whoops.
Everyone's getting close. You see Emig's also closed the gap. He's followed Huffman right through, all the way up to the back tire of McGrath. Now McGrath's going to be feeling the pressure, and there's still plenty of time for him to be nervous and worry about Huffman.
McGrath on a new 97 bike that's really not dialed in yet. McGrath did not race competitively until the first round in Paris, and there was a big gap between the Motocross two nations and this Paris event. Damon Huffman now showing a little bit of action. Jeremy McGrath can definitely feel Huffman.
Huffman is just eating McGrath's lead up. Look at him, he goes wide, gets a really good run into the whoop section.
Here comes Huffman, it's lap 15. Can he? Yes, he takes the lead. Damon Huffman taking Jeremy McGrath with 5 laps to go in the main event.
It was catch-22 for McGrath as he entered the section. If he would have gone wide, Huffman could have closed the door on him, taking the inside line. So he took the inside, and then Huffman got a run at him.
And Emig now catch McGrath. We'll find out soon. There's your leaderboard. We'll be back. To go as Damon Huffman has taken over the lead from Jeremy McGrath here in the second consecutive night of World Supercross action in Paris. The series opened up in Japan with Jeff Emig winning that main event.
And it's not over for Jeremy yet. He's still got Emig. Look at that, taking a look at him on the inside, showing a wheel.
Emig was kind of polite now. As the French fans going wild with this battle, Emig just powers right by him.
Rare mistake by Jeremy, but a big one. Couldn't get over that double jump, loses another position. Now Larry Ward's next in line. Watch Jeremy right here, just comes up a little short and get a good run out of the corner. Emig jumps right past him. Wasn't much room, he was pretty close to the wall.
Here's a good example of one of the improvements maybe of the Kawasaki for 1997, the front forks. Some minor changes to the rest of the bike, but why try to fix something that's not broken, especially from last year and the speed they generated with those Cowies.
They've obviously made some improvements. Now they're running 1-2. And in Jeremy's defense, it's a production bike against 2 factory Kawasaki's. It's hard to do. Jeremy can still do the same things. He'll probably still win on this bike, but it takes a lot more effort. I don't know if he's really used to that.
Well, it's a 97 production bike, too, so there's a lot of tweaking to be done before Supercross season in the United States. Right now, Larry Ward, last night's winner, is putting the heat on Jeremy McGrath. Larry Ward, number 6 to the inside.
This must feel great for these guys to never hardly see Jeremy during the U.S. Supercross season. He wins every round just about. Now they're just riding circles around.
Here comes Ward. Ward, 3 consecutive victories on foreign soil before a second place in Japan to start this series, and then the win last night.
See how close their handlebars were together. That's the third, almost 4th gear going through that tunnel. Larry Ward a lot quicker into that corner, and it looks to me like Jeremy, when things aren't clicking and he knows that he's going to really put himself at risk by trying to go fast enough to stay in the lead, that's usually when he backs off and just is more patient. He knows that this race isn't everything. It's not the Super Bowl. He wants to win the United States Supercross Series, and that's when he'll get things dialed in and try his hardest.
He doesn't want to get in a deep hole, though, David, where he can't recover and come out of it. Damon Huffman, Jeff Emig. Oh, some rocks starting to spit up.
Yeah, you can see those aren't good skipping rocks either. You get hit by one of those, you're going to know it. There's some ruts starting to develop. You can see in the face of some of those jumps, it's really getting hard packed. The track is definitely at its worst right now, where you really have to find the exact line to get the best traction and miss those rocks.
Damon Huffman, number 4. Jeff Emig, number 2. Number 27 on the Honda in 10th place is Brian Swink, after being lapped by the two Cowies.
Damon Huffman just came into that corner and shook his head like he was disgusted with himself for how he went through the whoops. Emig's coming out of the inside and jumping about 4 or 5 bumps into the whoop section, the same as Larry Ward was doing earlier from the outside. He's got all kinds of pressure on his teammate right now.
This tight track at Bercy always gives you a good competitive race. And right now, it's Huffman and Emig bringing the French fans alive.
Pretty technical track, too. It's amazing. The first time I ever saw this track, there was no tunnel. It was everything squeezed into this floor. It's about the size of an ice hockey rink, and it was amazing at how exciting the racing was and how many places there were to pass and how technical and the amount of height we got of all the jumps. Very exciting for the fans. It's just gotten better every year.
Damon Huffman riding with composure and maturity, trying to hold off his experienced Kawasaki teammate on the final lap. Emig's been known to use a lot of track when he's leading. What's Huffman's strategy here, David?
I think just go as fast as he possibly can. Hope that Emig makes the mistake and he gets a little breathing room, but just try to occupy the best line, not make any mistakes. If he does that, I don't see any way that Emig can get around.
Race was determined right there last night, but it's not this time. Damon Huffman, his first win in the World Supercross Series here in Paris. It would be his second win on the World Supercross Series Tour. He won in Geneva last year. So it's Huffman, Emig, Ward, Hughes getting in front of McGrath before the checkered flag. Button, Craig, Lusk, Tortelli, and Swink rounding out the top 10. Larry Ward still holding the points lead now in the overall series. Not by much. Emig and Huffman tied at 48. Brian Hughes still in a good position, too, to win the King of Bercy honor. Look at the size of those trophies. How do you check those to take them back home?
Bribery, whatever it takes. Actually, they used to be bigger than that.